When I first came into Lakeshore to get the job, obviously I was really pushed hard by Len and Dan to get me on the job. They really wanted me and they knew my background.
Well, initially, I really didn't want to hire Brad, and just because of things I heard, and just he does have a reputation for being kind of difficult and a bit arrogant.
He can be really difficult to work with sometimes.
But then, I met with the guy, and he is arrogant, but he is so talented that you do just kind of set those things aside.
Everybody always praises him about like how great he can touch up wardrobe when he's on the set and everything like that, but he doesn't have a vision, and it kills me. No.
B-Max. Speed.
I first met Brad on a commercial that I did for PlayStation, where he was actually playing Spider-Man at the time, and we hit it off. He's somebody that I absolutely trust, and that's what you want for a coordinator.
The best thing about Len is that he knows what he wants. He's got a vision, and you can see it from the conception of the movie. Everything's storyboarded. In rehearsals, actually, what I would do is I would shoot things the way that he drew them in the storyboards.
We had a lot of training, Scott and I. We trained a bit in LA, and then we had 3 or 4 quite intense weeks of training here.
I was Kate Beckinsale's stunt trainer.
He is also an ex-bodyguard. And those guys have become good buddies, so I think he's maybe teaching her some tricks to keeping me away from her if I start getting nasty.
Her body mechanics and her movement was great for fight scenes. Since she is a former ballet dancer, that did help out substantially.
When they're not filming and they're just rehearsing day after day after day, I'm sure it gets a little bit tiresome. And it starts wearing on their body because they're just physical every day. So you're not traveling as far because you're flipping really fast. Yeah, so if you can make it slower, you can take the ride a little bit longer. But as long as they hang in there, it definitely pays off in the end.
Kate's a serious actress. Kate is not somebody that you would normally expect to see running around toting a gun, wearing, vampire teeth.
I do have some physical fights.
From this position here, you've just come...
So they're just basically teaching me how to move my feet and how to move my arms and, how to not actually hit somebody.
Slam.
You have to look like you have the strength of 10 men.
And she came up to me and she said, "Oh, Scott, thank God it's you. Thank God it's you. They were gonna hook me up with this former bodyguard psycho firearms instructor." And I was just so nervous about that, and my face kind of went straight. And she got silent. I said, "Kate, that's me."
I was really nervous because, you hear from other actors how they you come in here and they break you and they don't let you, sit down for 1 second. And these guys are incredible. They're so nice. They completely inspire you with confidence.
Look tough, look tough.
So I think the most important thing is that you feel safe, because when you feel safe, you are able to be daring.
A lot of people that watch movies, they see the perfect wire work moves. They see the perfect stunt. What they don't see is the training process and how grueling it can be.
There's lots of bumps and bruises when it comes to wire work. It's not as easy as it looks. You smash into a wall or miss your footing on a landing.
Wait. Abort.
Hit the floor pretty hard.
Too early on the pole, guys.
When actors and actresses come into this, there's a steep learning curve. Kate and Scott took to it like fish to water. They wanted to jump in with the stunt guys. They wanted to go through this process.
Well, Celine's jump originally, I think, was a 50-foot jump and turned into about a 100-foot jump. Celine's double, Nicole Randall, gets on top of this building. She's connected to a cable which runs up above her and then down to our system that was on the ground. And basically all she has to do is step off, and the cable is under tension as soon as she steps off, giving her a constant speed of deceleration. And then we overlapped another piece from about 20 feet in the air that took her straight to the ground.
There was a lot of gunfire in the film, and when I first met with Kate, one of the things I told her is that you look at these movies like Matrix and Terminator 2 and Blade and a lot of the John Woo movies, and they're wearing sunglasses, and it looks cool and everything, but another reason why they're wearing sunglasses is because it hides the fact that the actors are blinking.
We wanted her to look like a warrior and realistically look like she knew how to fire these weapons. She'd never fired a firearm in her life, let alone a fully automatic machine gun pistol, which she was using 2 of them in the movie, Beretta M93Rs. She took to it very, very well, very quickly.
I'm sorry, I just felt like big ballet dancer.
Todd Schneider, who was doubling Michael Sheen, who was playing the character Lucian, did this great sequence in the whole car chase where Lucian's trying to run down the car. We built this platform about 80 feet long that was behind the Jaguar. We had Todd standing on top of the platform, which was being dragged by the car. The car went approximately 25 miles an hour. Todd started sprinting, and I gave the impression that he was running like 35 miles an hour.
And there was one opportunity with the scene where I'm chasing after Kate and Scott in the car. The camera is in front of the car, looking through the windscreen, and so you can see Lucian running up and then jumping onto the car. I said, I'd really like to try and do that myself. So you just sort of crouch down on the carpet, and they say, right, here we go, and they start off, and then you have to stand up on the carpet and kind of surf it for a little bit, and then when you get to the right point, just run. And the trick is not to look at anywhere else apart from at the car in front of you, because then it's just like running along an escalator or a conveyor belt or something. Whereas if you look at the ground, you see that you're going incredibly quickly and you get a bit freaked out.
When the car stops and Lucian falls off, then Celine and the Jaguar approaches and hits Lucian, and he goes flying in the air. Where we had Todd on a wire. As soon as the car approached, we pulled him out, and he rolled right up the hood. Then we looked down at a top shot where Todd is on a trampoline, flipping and twisting, and then they just erased the trampoline. So the combination of those 2 shots, I think, is going to be another unique part of the sequence. One of the big fights in the movie is going to be between a vampire and a hybrid, which is half vampire and half werewolf.
Well, for me, I hadn't done anything like this before. We got to spend 3 weeks in LA just getting ready to do a lot of the stunts, a lot of the wire work, and I'd never thrown a punch in my life. So I got to sit down with these guys, the stunt team, who were great, and they got to teach me how to fight a little bit, so that was kind of fun. Now, I've never had to do any real fights on screen. Nothing like this. I mean, there was some serious stuff.
I did have rehearsals with Brad Martin and Rich Citrone and Marcus Young and Mike Gunter, who are, top stunt guys. They are, top guys in the world. And they were very, very good with me. I'm a middle-aged, lanky, slightly out of shape English actor, and they were trying to get me to wrestle half the time knee-deep in water with a hybrid half-vampire werewolf played by an extremely able, fit, and nice young man called Scott Speedman, who's in fabulous shape. They taught me the moves, and they, most importantly, kind of gave me the confidence to believe that I might be able to pull them off. We have, thank God, shot all of those sequences now, and I get up in the mornings now like an 80-year-old, but I did it, and we'll see how it looks, and they seem pleased enough. It's the very first time I've ever thrown a punch anywhere in any department of my life.